Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. Anything related to your entrepreneurial journey, we cover it right here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. I'm Sanah Jaiswal. Tonight on the Leaders of Tomorrow Weekend Edition, we have two entrepreneurs that we're featuring. First up is a Fintech major from the Dubai UAE region, that is Wally. We're also in conversation with someone whose entrepreneurial journey has been extremely fascinating, Roshini Sanah Jaiswal. We are focusing on all things fintech and how the Dubai UAE market is changing and responding to the changes and the demands of consumers when it comes to the fintech market. What are some of those changes and how is this company, Wally, really leading those changes? All of that being brought to us. Over to you.
Hi, Sananda. Fintech has been a primary focus for Dubai in recent years, and the Emirate is now a preferred market for promising fintech startups from all around the world looking to launch their business ventures. One homegrown fintech startup that has seen a lot of success is Wally, the brainchild of Saeid Hejazi, the CEO and co-founder of the company. Earlier today, I talked to Saeid about his aspirations for the company and the fintech industry in Dubai. What inspired you to start Wally, and why did you start it in Dubai?
Wally is a classic, for me at least, it's a classic example of someone trying to solve their own problem. When I was building my first startup, which was in e-commerce, I used to have to keep track of my own finances in a manual way. So I used to have an Excel file and then move things over from my online banking. After that company got acquired, I still stuck to some of that habits, and I realized that it's too cumbersome, it's tiring, and we didn't have modern ways to streamline or to automate these things, and especially not on mobile. So that's when I partnered up with my brother, who is a finance background, and together we built Wally.
And why Dubai?
Dubai, well, first of all, I was already in Dubai at the time. My first startup was based here. But the reason why we stuck to Dubai is because it's an international hub. Wally is available in 70 countries. We connect with 15,000 banks. So being in Dubai was very strategic to just our global approach.
Tell me a little bit about the advanced technologies that power Wally and how they benefit the end user.
There's three main components when it comes to the Wally product as an app. The first one is being able to connect to banks. For that, we use third-party services from around the world that give us access to the 15,000 banks from 70 countries. But where we spend most of our time trying to improve and simplify the complexity of people's finances comes around things that categorizing transactions or identifying the merchants in all of these descriptions that are almost non-human readable. They're not easy to understand, especially now when you're scrolling. So to contextualize those by categorizing them and then helping people identify patterns in their spending, and then giving them a way to set goals and reach them. So Wally has the ability to suggest budgets across different categories so that you can reach your goals regardless of when it is or how much it is.
What are the main advantages Dubai offers as a fintech hub?
The regulatory environment and the ability to get to market very quickly if you're testing out an idea. But even as you grow, the two main things that startup founders are always thinking about is access to talent and a market. And you definitely have access to talent here. There's a lot of very smart people with sector experience. But more importantly, I think for us at least, is Dubai being a hub for the region, but also the wider region. So for a lot of companies that are thinking about Africa or Asia, Dubai is perfectly situated to give you that kind of coverage.
How would you assess the state of the fintech industry at the moment in Dubai and beyond the region?
It depends on the category of fintech. There are things like everybody has had varying types of success. For a lot of companies, for example, in payments, I mean, this might not be considered fintech, but if you consider mobile Apple payments, there's definitely mass adoption. But from a pure fintech startup, some of the exciting companies in buy now and pay later, for example, Tabby has definitely gotten early mass adoption. And then you have a lot of exciting companies in robo-advisory or automated savings. They've been getting a lot of early adoption as well. So it's all very exciting, and there's a lot going on.
How would you assess the fintech market in Dubai and the wider region?
I think something that's really exciting and something we're noticing when we talk to our users is millennials are particularly starting to invest more of their money as a way of savings on a broader level. It used to be very restrictive, opening investment accounts, finding an investment manager. But now with the proliferation of all these different fintech services, it's become a lot more accessible. So Wally helps people identify how much of their income they're able to invest, and we're seeing those opportunities as very exciting.
What trends or factors do you expect to see to support the growth of fintech in the coming years?
I think some of the things that are definitely adding a lot of tailwinds is the regulators across the region are becoming increasingly open to exciting different innovative financial services. So a lot of the central banks have sandboxes that allow new ideas to experiment in the market. That is something that we didn't have before, and you never knew if your business activity was in the gray area or not. Now we have clarity, we have rules. So this is definitely very exciting. But most importantly is probably the adoption of different services by the market. People are a lot more open to trying out new services and understanding whether it's a robo-advisor offering you access to ETFs or a wallet, crypto wallet, allowing people to buy cryptocurrencies and invest there. So all of these things are very positive tailwinds.
As a market at the forefront of the fintech revolution, how can India support Dubai in this space?
I used to live in India. I used to live in Bangalore for 4 years in the early years of Wally. And I think some of the things I miss the most is the sharing of knowledge and experience and learnings. India has a tremendous talent pool, and a lot of the companies there are pushing exciting and innovating, on a deep technical level. So I think if there were ways that we could have more knowledge sharing, I think that would help startups on both ends build better services. On a legal front, I guess maybe easier access to the market, ability to operate in India if you can passport your license over or something like that. That would be very exciting.
What would your advice be to Indian fintech startups who are keen to launch in Dubai?
Launching in the UAE is surprisingly very easy. It's really easy to get started. And there's a lot of opportunity with consumers that are ready to adopt new services, especially also in the B2B space. So whether it's insurance tech or fintech or healthcare, we're seeing a lot of pull in the market. So definitely come visit, come explore, meet some potential customers, meet the regulators. Everybody would be happy to support.
How did COVID impact your business, and how do you think it impacted the global fintech market?
One of the things I think everybody learned very early on when the pandemic started was the importance of having savings and emergency savings. Something that happened as sudden as COVID, and then governments forcing people to stay home, people's income getting cut off or dropped. People realize that they can't have themselves vulnerable again. So what Wally did is we helped people track what finances, what they were spending, and helping them identify the differences between essentials and non-essentials. But as the situation started a little bit to recover, people, even a little bit before, some people were already starting to invest. With non-essential spending having reduced, that gave people the opportunity to look at new places to have their money invested or saved. And we saw this trend happening around the world, whether it's the trading apps or the robo-advisors, the automated savings, as well as things across payments and buy now and pay later. So there was definitely a lot of tailwinds for all the categories. We were situated in a way that allowed us to give people the type of clarity for them to understand the patterns pre-COVID, during COVID, and then how to build a kind of a recovery post-COVID. We want to keep doing what we're doing, which is try our best to constantly build an amazing user experience, to deliver our users the most value, and simplifying their finances. From a business, that means a lot more technical development, a lot more innovation and R&D. On a growth, we want to continue to grow in the 70 countries that were available, and hopefully we'll be able to reach many people around the world.
As you just heard, there's a lot happening in the fintech space, and it's going to be a huge contribution to the digital economy. Back to you, Sananda.
I'm going to slip into a short break on that note, but we will continue focusing on the most innovative companies out of the Dubai UAE market only on our Eye on Dubai segment. For the moment, let's take a quick break. Back in just a moment with another entrepreneur and another company disrupting the market here in India. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight in the hot seat is Roshini Sanah Jaiswal. Roshini, so good having you here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. You know, there are very few entrepreneurs who are doing what you are doing, female entrepreneurs, really shattering the glass ceiling when it comes to the alcobev industry, and also continuing to innovate. So it's good having you here. Maybe I can start tonight by talking to you about your newest baby, Swan Rose, and why you decided to enter that market, what you can tell our entrepreneurs and what you can tell our viewers on that.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Sunanda. So Swan Rose actually started last year. This is in the midst, or I should say at the beginning of the pandemic. A lot of the restructuring that we had done for Jagatjit Industries started playing out, let's say, in January of last year. This would be in 2020, January, February. And then we saw the pandemic coming and we said, you know, it's going to again shake the ground underneath us. What can we do? We have 1,800 workers. We needed to make and pay our wages. We couldn't really afford to have the factory shut down. And one of the things that we have learned historically is that when there are wars and pandemic, if you become essential in some way to the government allows you to function. And so being a distillery, being part of the alcohol industry, the natural pivot for us at that point became, let's immediately start doing sanitizers. So we began doing sanitizers in India initially, branded them. We got a huge number of calls from the US, from my YPO community there. And we then started, you know, selling sanitizers in the United States. It did exponential amounts of business in the first 3-4 months. What it did on two fronts. So for Jagatjit, what it did was it created the impetus for another big change. It actually, allowed us to really survive, and it got our distillery running again. It kept the factory running. We didn't need to lay off anybody whatsoever. We were able to meet wages across. And the reason we chose to move in this direction of preventive health was also because we saw that people were already into health and wellness. The pandemic, however, changed and completely moved the consumer psyche more into the direction of health and wellness. And we knew this was going to continue post-COVID.
So like you're saying, you managed to bring everything together at the height of the pandemic, entering a new industry, a new business vertical. If you could use this answer as a masterclass of sorts and really talk to our entrepreneurs how you perhaps managed to convince everyone else and bring them on board and then move really quickly. How did that happen? What could you tell us?
So I think when I stepped into the industry, I think women and the biggest, so this is a very male-dominated industry, and I think everyone knows that. Plus, I was, a novice when I stepped into this industry. So I had two things which were really going against me at that point in time. And what happens is that, if you walk into a room and you're there, and I think it's about being comfortable in yourself, because you're walking in and there are all these men around you. Right. So the first thing is to exude confidence. If you exude confidence and you go into a room and you're sitting there and you're not feeling sort of, intimidated by being in this sort of very male-dominated room filled with lots of testosterone at one level, that's your first step. The second step would be to actually make really valuable contribution. I chose to not talk too much in meetings, but when I did speak, it was really important that I was saying something valuable to the group.
Sure.
The liquor industry, in some strange way, needed that validation of having a woman, because it is women across that actually, demand prohibition or riot for it. And, can we, for example, bring women into employment? Can the liquor industry in the south of India, we do this, where there are all women employees in our factories. Can we do this in the north of India? Can there be a designation of 70% women in factories? So we are supporting them, in terms of work as well. So, I think it is the diverse perspective that I brought in that started adding a lot of value.
The demand for the bev industry, I understand, is expected to grow nearly 12% through 2022. What can you tell us about how you are planning on tapping that demand?
So we've done a number of things. Jagatjit as a company was very much, and is still, I guess, a mass product company. But what we've started doing over the last 2 years, and this again started in 2018, so all these measures are actually 2018 measures that are coming into play. We started premiumizing our portfolio because we also realized that, people will, eventually what we find is that the market is moving towards premium products. And when I say premium in India for the IMFL segment, what I mean is premium starts at 600 rupees. And above.
Okay.
So we are sort of widening our portfolio, and we are heading where we started sort of creating more premium products. We also have the heritage in our company very much of royalty. So our main factories that sit in Hamira are coming, and our patron are coming from the Maharaja Jagatjit Singh, and therefore the company is named Jagatjit Industries. He is and was our patron, and today his family is our patron still. So this is the sort of manner in which we are sort of growing our market. Of course, a lot of marketing efforts which are being conducted. As I said, we do a lot of creative things. So we think quite out of the box in terms of how we market.
How are you innovating and how are you ensuring that you are staying ahead of the game?
So Jagatjit has made some investments in technology in the United States with regard. this is a technology. We've invested in a company in 2017, which is called Lost Spirits Distilleries. This is a high-level technology company that fast-tracks the aging process. Of the most expensive process is the number of years it sits in a barrel and ages. So what we did is we invested in this company because what this company actually does is it is able to age a of 12 to 15 years in the course of 9 to 15 days.
Roshini, very good having you here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. That's a wrap on tonight's show. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Our contact details on your screens as we speak. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.